Just like that, we are back with another episode of Inside the Festival right here on Carnival Radio, brought to you by Bahamas Carnival Fete Weekend, happening June 3rd through 7th, 2026 in Nassau, Bahamas. Today I have, of course, my host, Dahlia from Bahamas Carnival Guide.
Hello. I'm back. And thank you, Africa. It's always good to be back and chat with you about all the happenings of Bahamas Carnival. And today we have Dope Like Blaze joining us in the studio, Caribbean culture curator. Welcome, Blaze.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Yes, Blaze is from New York City. All right. Blaze, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm from Long Island, New York. A lot of people like to say that ain't NYC, but Brooklyn and Queens is all Long Island. But we ain't gonna get into that debate. But yeah, so I'm from Long Island, North Amityville to be exact, by way of Jamaica, Manchester, Jamaica. And yeah, I've just always been passionate about being West Indian, being Caribbean. I've always been very ingrained into my culture. But over the last few years, my eyes have been open to a lot more of the cultures in the West Indies, and I fell in love with the journey of learning more about them. I fell in love with Carnival. Went to my first few carnivals over the last couple of years. Fell in love with that. My eyes have been open to soca music over the last couple of years. Something I just really wasn't in tune with growing up in NYC and middle school, high school, and all of that. But I've just been heavy on that, and I've been just trying to push the narrative of unity across a lot of the islands. So I've just been trying to be a proponent for that and make other people fall in love with being West Indian, over just only their specific island. During my journey with content creation. So, yeah.
Now, I want you to paint a picture of your very first carnival experience, because he said you just recently started participating in Carnival.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it was St. Thomas, right? I mean, I made a stop by Carabana in 2019, but that really wasn't like, I didn't really do Carnival like that. So my first real carnival was St. Thomas, last year, and I did not know what to expect. And
hold on. So you're telling me that in 2024 was your first carnival ever?
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, my first carnival ever, 2024, St. Thomas. Didn't know what to expect. I was down there with a bunch of my friends, and it was just like I'm Jamaican, so we party hard, but it was like Carnival fetting is different. Day in, day out, morning, noon, night. There's breakfast fetes at like 6 a.m. There's parties in the afternoon, the evening, like the road and the road again. And it was just like nonstop partying, fetting, celebration, rum. And then everybody was just so like hospitable. They was like showing me so much love and just kind of showing me around, and they could tell that I was like, yo, this is how y'all do it out here. And then I made my videos where I was like, yo, I did not know it was going to be like this. I was not ready for this. And then those videos where I was kind of explaining my experience out there, those kind of blew up, but I was serious. Yo. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. But I had the time of my life, man. And then, the VI kind of embraced me after that because, I was in my little comedic way. I was, kind of promoting what was going on out there and letting everybody know, like, yeah, y'all got to come experience this for yourself. But I had the time of my life. And since then, I just been on this like whole carnival boot camp tour run where I'm trying to just go to different islands, different carnivals, even different festivals in the States, and just kind of show my experiences through my eyes. So, yeah.
I love that. Africa and I talk a lot about our origin stories of how, me being this Guatemalan Canadian living not in Toronto, I live outside of Toronto, so it's not even like I get the Caribbean diaspora experience of Toronto, and how I got involved in this. So I'd love to hear other people's origin stories, I call them, right? And yeah, I'm in shock actually that 2024 was your first.
I know for you to have blown up for you to have blown up the way you have and to be respected as a quote unquote soca influencer, because that's the realm, you know, when you look at when you look at the stuff, like that's where you come up, and all of the other quote unquote soca or carnival influencers follow you or repost your content. um what was that moment or feeling you had on the road that truly solidified you and made you feel like, yo,
Think it was, it had to be the first trip, like the St. Thomas trip, where I think they were playing. There was this moment where they were playing "Come Home," and like it just, I don't know, it was just like bliss. I'm just looking at everybody, and I'm like, yo, like this is like one of the happiest I've ever seen, like so many people at once. I'm just like, yo, it's just pure happiness out here. And I was like, nah, I really love this. Like I love that moment. And, you know, I just wanted to keep feeling that. Like I just wanted to keep feeling that amount of like happiness and togetherness and unity. Like everybody had their different flags up in the air, you know what I mean? Because you know, St. Thomas, you don't need no passport, so everybody from all different walks of life was out there. And it was just, yeah, it was just a really good feeling. So after that, I was just like, yo, I want to keep feeling that. And then I want to say like something that really, really solidified it was when I went to I came back to the VI for St. Croix. And then of course I went back to St. Thomas again this last April, May. But when I came back to St. Croix, like the way I was received, I was like, yeah, I have to keep doing this. Like I can't stop, because the way that I'm loving other people's culture, like they're receiving that and appreciative of me loving on them, and they're giving me back that same amount of love. So it's like it's resonating with people, you know what I mean? They're seeing what I'm trying to do. So that really solidified it too. And then once again, I had the time of my life, and I've been having the time of my life at every one of them. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. You're I mean, you're constantly chasing this high, and that the energy and the feeling of euphoria is what drew you in. Because like you said, you're from the Caribbean. Dance hall has been a major part of anybody that lives up north, or you know, wherever in the south, in parts of different parts of the U.S. where they have large Caribbean communities. Jamaicans tend to be the core, right? So we always get fed this dance hall. Over the course of the last decade, we've seen soca music take precedence in a lot of the Caribbean spaces, whether it's the parties or it's just the cultural festivals. And I think that has a lot to do with the way we engage and interact now as opposed to 2 decades ago. And again, with cameras everywhere and people experiencing this visually, they have the opportunity to, like, it's almost a FOMO, you know, fear of missing out on that type of energy. So I love that that's what drew you in, and that's what's kept you. But what do you say to people that say that you are cosplaying? Because I saw that in some comments when I believe when you were going to Grenada or preparing for Grenada, they accuse you of cosplaying being Caribbean.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's like a common thing for people who um like, you know, if you're of Caribbean descent, no matter where you're born, no matter how you grew up, no matter where you went to school, it's like if you're not talking a thick accent, everybody I say, yeah, you know, come from, you're Jamaican or you're not Caribbean or this and that. Like you have to walk around talking in the thickest accent that, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just like, nah, man, like I'm not even gonna feed into this conversation. I'm gonna make a joke out of it. So when I saw those couple comments, all I did was I made a joke out of it. Like I went in front of the camera and did my like apology statement, and then I had my mother come out talking in the thickest accent, straight from Manchester, Jamaica. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, I'm not gonna follow up with these whole diaspora, like people trying to gatekeep and stuff like that. If you wasn't born in Kingston Hospital and you know come from Jamaica and this and the third, I'm just like, all right, man. So I just have fun with it, because at the end of the day, they don't really know me as a person. They just might hear how I'm talking and be like, oh, this person is from the outside looking in and this, that, and the third, they don't really know my background or anything like that. So, but I know what I'm passionate about, and I know why I'm passionate about it. Because it's me. It's where I come from. It's what's ingrained in me. I don't really follow that up.
It's interesting that this conversation, impacts so many, because I feel a little bit of that too, like, especially not being Caribbean and not being from the Bahamas. And I've sort of inserted myself in this Bahamas Carnival space. And not out of, like, for me, it's been very organic, right? I've been traveling to the Bahamas for maybe 20 years next year. My best friends in this world are Bahamian, and I still get a little bit of pushback of, like, who is this Canadian girl? Who's
I gave him pushback. I was like, this white gal is.
And to that I say, well, I'm Latina, so I get a little bit of grace, but I understand that, right? Like, people, I don't know, the haters, I guess, or whatever. I saw it too. I don't know if you both know who Lily Singh is, but she is a Canadian. She was a Canadian YouTuber that really, really, like, blew up. Now she's, like, in movies, and she's got all this. She does, but she's her family is from India, and she really loves Carnival, and she's actually friends with Mashal. And so she often will, for a while, she was posting her Carnival trips to Trinidad. And there was this whole conversation online about how she was, appropriating culture. And I sort of laughed, because having been to carnivals all over and really embracing this Carnival soca culture, until you're in it, it's hard to explain to somebody that that's not at all what's happening, right? It is that feeling, like, it's such an accepting place. I've never felt so much a part of a community as I do when I'm at a carnival, because you see the people who you've met at previous carnivals that you won't see anywhere and any other time in your life. You'll never cross paths with these people until you see them at the next carnival. And then it's like no time has passed and they're your best friends. And, real true friendships and relationships have been born out of that. And it's really hard to explain to somebody who hasn't experienced it, who hasn't felt that high, right? That you felt in St. Thomas the first time, and the first time I went to Trinidad. And it's, I don't know, it's hard to explain until you experience it. So I always say, come check it out before you start passing judgment.
Yeah, some of my good friends is people that now that I met, since like the 2024 run, and like they're people that I talk to all the time now, or like I'm seeing them multiple times throughout the year. That I'm seeing them more than I see some of my college friends. You know what I mean? That I was just seeing all the time. I'm seeing these people, these carnival people now, and like, they're supporting me like a lot. So it's just like, yeah, like I've really made friends off this carnival run that I've been on. So yeah, I've definitely been enjoying the camaraderie as well.
And that will just multiply again, from my very first carnival all the way to now. Like I said, some of my very best friends have come out of those experiences. And even if we don't live in the same place, like I see them multiple times a year, just because we plan, right? We plan to go to Carnival. We plan to be on Uber Soca Cruise. We plan to get together for different events. So, yeah, I think it's amazing. I am such a huge proponent of Carnival and Carnival culture and soca music. And I'm always kind of shocked when people are resistant to it, which, you're missing out, because it really is an amazing thing.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed. Mm-hmm. But see, that's the golden question. I usually don't be answering that question, but I answer right now. So I was born in Long Island, right? But the thing is with that, a lot of people don't really get the experience to kind of go back to their island often and kind of be ingrained in that, kind of have like memories of that. And my peoples, they were fortunate enough to take me back like a lot of summers I spent in Manchester, Jamaica. So for me, it's almost, the way I feel, right? My perspective is like, it almost felt like I grew up there as well. You know what I mean? I spent summers growing up in Jamaica. Like I go back to my scheme, that's what we call it. Like my scheme know me. You know what I'm saying? As soon as I come out the car with my suitcase, everybody, yo, it ain't like I'm like no tourist or no visitor. They got me doing chores as soon as I get out the van. Yo, y'all can't go up Pyro and pick this up for me and bring it carry come because they see me so often. So it's just like, it's not like I'm ever been disconnected from my roots at all. You know what I mean? So that's why I never really follow up with the whole, oh, you're not really correct. Because it's like, man, if you only actually knew my life, like, so yeah. But yeah, I was born in Long Island though.
Okay, I brought that up because while I was born in the Bahamas, I grew up in New York City. Like I've been in New York, or I've been in the U.S. since I was 6 months old. Um, but because of my mother's occupation, we traveled back and forth, and I had an opportunity to really experience being Caribbean. The reality is, I didn't know I was Caribbean until I was like 9, 10 years old. And after that, I was like, oh, I could speak a different language. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, man. Um, growing up in New York City, I grew up in Harlem. Growing up in New York City, I was like, I only knew Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. That was about as Italian as I got. And then, having being exposed to all of this stuff. But even with that, I was always hip. And as Dahlia said, the origin story. I've always participated in Caribbean stuff because of my mother and her position, but I never got engulfed in it. You know, the kind of way? Like I was around, it was happening, and I would participate, but I didn't like it because I was forced to do it.
Mhm.
It wasn't until I got hired to do something and I had to convey that message. And I tell Skinny all the time, like he's the one who turned me out. He turned me out. I'm not going to even tell you no lie. Like he turned me the hell out. As he performed and I saw him command that crowd and the energy, like at that very moment, I was like, F hip hop, I'm soak all day. Yo, fuck the block, I'm going on the islands. You know what I mean? And a lot of Caribbean, second generation Caribbean people, when they participate, they're participating from the perspective of only experiencing those four corners, never moving off the block. And the furthest they've ever been is Manhattan, if that. Because there's some people that live in Brooklyn that never left Brooklyn. You know what I mean? So when they travel, they have this narrow mindset, and they don't understand the culture, and there's so many divisions instead of really existing in that moment. But I think it doesn't matter where you're from, like you cannot be in that space and it not be contagious.
Yep. Yep.
So I wanted to ask you about the US experience, and have you participated in any US carnivals, and how do they differ from the Caribbean experience?
So yeah, I think of course, Eastern Parkway. So I was going to that. I think I went to that a few times in like late middle school, high school, stuff like that. But I think I stopped going because, unfortunately, it gets a little violent at times. So there was that. And then over the last few years, I ended up doing. I did Miami. So my first Miami was last year. And I did Canada. I did Caribana. So that's not the States, but it's like pretty similar. Still North America. Atlanta. I did Atlanta this past May. Um, so yeah, and I've definitely enjoyed them. I love the fact that these carnivals are like melting pot carnivals. It's everybody gets representation because it's for everybody. It's not on no specific island. I like that as well. I love to see the unity in that. But I think it just differs in the fact that like when you go to a specific island, like you have to get that experience of going to a specific island and experiencing their culture. They're gonna show representation and some love to the other islands for sure, but it's about them. So, and I really experienced that going to, you know, like the VI, going to Grenada, like especially Spice Mass. Like, yeah, they're gonna show love. They might even drop a few dancehall tracks, but this is Grenada, this is Spice Mass. We playing Job, and you really get to get a perspective of how they party, how they celebrate, maybe even some of their history. You know what I mean? So I think it just differs in that. Like you really get a real like specific feel for that island and how they get down, and you get like you gain like an appreciation for the island that you go to. So, or like a higher appreciation for the island that you go to. So I think that's the difference between like the states carnivals and like the island carnivals.
No follow-up questions, but some thoughts. As I think about Bahamas Carnival and their place in this carnival culture, I would place Bahamas Carnival somewhere in between like a U.S. North American carnival and an island carnival. And hear me out, Africa. I think because carnival is not inherently Bahamian, right? If you know anything about the history of Bahamas Carnival Plays, it was a tourism initiative, like a government initiative that was sort of implemented about 10 years ago. And there's been a lot of conflict between what Bahamians, celebrate their junk canoe celebrations and this carnival experience that we are providing for folks. And I think Bahamas is in this like interesting spot of it's not inherently theirs, but it all is rooted, historically. If you look at the history of Carnival and how it began, it's emancipation, it's resilience, it's resistance, and all islands have experienced that. We have that shared experience, even throughout Latin America as well. And so it's interesting for you to hear you talk about going to these islands and experiencing their culture, as oftentimes the conversation in the Bahamas is Carnival is trying to take over Bahamian culture. Appa and I and our colleagues and our friends, we are trying to show people that it's not one or the other. It can be an opportunity to really showcase the Bahamas and the Bahamian culture and Bahamian music. It's been a little bit of a battle. To hear you talk about that is promising, I think. Gives me hope. I don't know what you think, Africa.
100%. I agree with you. And while we say that Carnival isn't inherently Bahamian, Carnival in itself is just it's like religion. It's your interpretation, right?
Mhm.
Because Junkanoo is Carnival, Jab is Carnival. The celebrations in Latin America could be considered Carnival. They're Carnival, right? All of these things are celebrations that came out of rebellion for the oppressors or towards the oppressors. It is the epitome of freedom. I don't know, Blaze, but I know when I was oiled down in Grenada, that was the freest I ever felt, because everybody was the same. It didn't matter whether you had money or you were poor. Like, everybody was stripped down to the bare necessity. And I think that that's what makes it so appealing. That's the only time that you and everyone around you are equal.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
just my perspective. I don't know if everybody else feels that way. And, I'm starting to tear up because I just that thought.
Mhm.
that experience of euphoria and freedom, especially in a time like this, I think that it's important that we hold on to those ideologies and stop dividing ourselves between with these cultural borders, because
Yeah,
we all have the same experience. They're just unique to us.
right. It's crazy. I said that, like, that part that you said, that's the freest I ever felt. I said that word for word yesterday on my TikTok live, and I was speaking about Spice Mass. Like, Like it genuinely was the freest I ever felt. I was using like a bunch of different words 'cause I was trying to find the words for it, but like I said, it felt almost like tribal. Like it just felt like I was just with my people. I felt like I was with my people. There was no danger. Like there was no darkness. Like it was just free and it was a light. Like everybody was just celebrating. Everybody, it was just so much togetherness. It was so much love, and I just felt free. And I was, in my content, I was just telling like, yo, y'all got to come experience this because I've been doing these carnivals now for a little bit over a year, but like this one specifically playing jab, that experience was like it was euphoric for me. I got goosebumps. I be having goosebumps just watching the videos back that I made. Like I'm like, yo, that feeling was different. So I just want everybody to I just want all of us to kind of get to a point where we're done with like the Caribbean diaspora wars and we're just okay with being together and experiencing each other's celebrations and culture and just just loving on one another because that a moment like that just kind of solidified for me like yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of love, there's a lot of history, there's a lot of culture out here, and there's a lot of like freedom, and that was the freest I ever felt. So yeah, I definitely felt you on that.
Now, I have a question. Like, is there a specific tradition, dish, or family story that you carry with you when you're on your global carnival journey?
So when it comes to all right, so do you mean specific to carnival or do you just mean like for
Just
my
in
culture?
general, like your upbringing, like what inspires you, what makes you want to try these new dishes or participate in these things? Like, what's the inspiration behind it all?
I think for me, it's like talking to probably talking to like my great grandmother and having her tell me about some of the celebrations that they used to have back in her day, which is Jamaica is not carnival, what I'm saying, it wasn't carnival back then. Jamaica carnival kind of got more popularized over the last few years, but hearing her talk about some of the celebrations that they used to have and how people used to be traveling, used to be not only Jamaicans, sometimes there'll be people from other islands and stuff like that that would be there, be around and stuff like that. And just kind of understanding that like it's never been a thing, or previously it wasn't a thing so much of like all these Caribbean diaspora wars, like what I'm saying, people wasn't really fighting down each other's culture or that flag over there or that kind of music, that like it really wasn't so much of that, what I mean? My great grandmother telling me about like, yeah, like calypso music, yeah, we loved calypso music and this, that, and that, and I'm like, oh, so like these whole Caribbean diaspora wars, it's being more popularized now. People's kind of like, no, keep that over there, and keep that kind of music over there. This one, what I mean. So for me, just kind of talking to her, I'm like, all right, or over the years of talking to her, I'm just like, yeah, you know what, like, I really want to be a proponent of promoting unity, promoting us just tearing down that wall, tearing down them borders, and just being okay with appreciating other people's other islands' cultures, even if it's not our island. So I think that's something I just carry with me. Yeah, my great grandma.
I think that now more than ever, music and soca music and any of the sort of subgenres of soca music are so prevalent internationally, like across all of these different countries and islands. For so long we heard Trini soca, right? Like that was when you thought about carnival, everybody listened to soca, but it was primarily from Trinidad. And over the last few years, I've noticed a shift, right, to what we refer to as like small island soca. I remember my first time on Uber Soca cruise. It was 2017. They had a small island party, like an after party, where one of the DJs, I can't remember which one, but he played lots of music from different islands. And that was, that night was particularly special for me. This past year that I went to Uber Soca cruise, Trinidad soca music did not dominate the music scene for the entire cruise. And like you said, these wars, and it's really unfortunate because it's just like we're battling each other, I guess, but then in that battle, it's like we're preventing the culture or the experience from growing, from reaching other people, because we focus so much on the pointing fingers or whatever we may be doing. And like you said, like we got to do away with that, because for so long it wasn't like that. And in the, like Africa said, in the current political climate and situations, we need less of that and more of the love, the embrace, the unity, the freedom that we experience at these events. I think it's so important, and I love that your great grandmother, is such a big influence for you, because I know my grandmother was for me too.
Yeah, definitely. Agreed.
What is your definition of culture? I asked you this on social media, but I'd love for you to reiterate it here on the show.
Yeah, so culture is, for one, firstly, like community, like, you know what I mean? Like, and, celebration as well. Music, of course, how we celebrate our music, food, you know what I mean? Our different dishes, how we cook them, everything. Like, I just feel like, culture, all in all, is, I don't know, it's just part of us. Like, you know what I mean? It's really part of us all. And especially like in the West Indies, like there's so many different cultures, but at the same time, it's a lot of so many similarities, you know what I'm saying, between all of the islands. And that's something I really enjoy. Like, I enjoy noticing the differences, all the differences, but so much of the similarities at the same time. Like, so yeah, it's just, it's music, it's food, it's celebration, it's dance, it's history, it's community, you know what I'm saying? Um, History, yeah, it's all of that. And it's all the differences and similarities.
Do you consider yourself a social media influencer?
Uh, I think probably over the last couple months, it finally hit me that, yeah, I might be that now. I always have imposter syndrome with everything I do, for some reason. And I really like to, just be modest and humble about everything. But, understanding that you may have some influence, and, using that with grace and being responsible with what you're saying, because you understand where you're at when it comes to like influence on social media. That's important. So I had to accept the fact that, yeah, probably over the last 3 months, it finally just hit me. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm probably a social media influencer. And there was a few experiences that I had that I was like, okay, all right, yeah, maybe I have to accept that. So yeah, now I do.
As a social media influencer, you are now a cultural curator for a global audience. How do you balance the energy of the party and everything else respectfully, showcasing the deep history, local artistry, and social commentary inherent to various carnivals that you attend? Like, how do you balance that?
I think for me, it's been a little easy to do for me, because I genuinely enjoy learning. I genuinely enjoy understanding, knowing like history. Like, I want to know what is, like, when I was playing Jab, like I wanted to know what was the history of Jab. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm having fun. We listening to soca, we walking up, but I want to know what this means. What's the origin of this? And I have a passion for that. So it's easy for me to kind of balance it, because of my passion behind, of course, the partying and the having fun and the rum and the walking up, but also my passion for understanding the culture, understanding the history, um, behind it all. And then I just kind of put all of that into my content as much as I can, showcasing the fun and, what I'm saying, the fetting and all of that, but also trying to showcase the history, the culture in itself, uh, local artists, there's specific music that's hot, on the island itself. Yeah, so I just try to, just put all that together and show the ways that I can, and mix in a little humor, make people laugh here and there, but also like if you look past the, the little jokes that I'm throwing, you can see like I'm really trying to show y'all the culture. I'm really trying to show y'all some history, and all of that. So, yeah, I just try to, balance it just the way that I would, because it's really what I'm passionate about anyway. So.
Do you think that social media influencers have a responsibility to the culture or the carnival or the experience, in terms of like what your content is? I know, you follow all these Caribbean, particularly Caribbean, like soca influencers, and everybody has their own style. Some people use humor, some people focus on music, and so on. But is there, like, do you feel a sense of responsibility to portray things in a certain way, or um, to show people like an authentic view of Carnival?
Yes. Um, this is something I've been having some conversations about recently. Um, and yes, I feel that in this day and age, like influencers across the board, not just only Caribbean influencers, but influencers across the board, streamers, everything, like they are some of the people that, like, whatever niche that you're in is looking to for information, is looking to for like understanding. It's a quick way to get all the information, or understanding, or kind of see it through their perspective, live through them. And for some people, it kind of curves the way that their opinions about stuff, influences, because that's the term, influence. Influences overall definitely have like a responsibility to, like, give authentic, truthful, perspectives, and then also like just be mindful of what you're influencing. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be out here spewing division, spewing like hate, shade towards other people, because you're using your influence for bad. You know what I mean? So just being mindful of like they say, with great power comes great responsibility. Like, as an influencer, if you've had the opportunity or the blessing to gather a following, and have people that genuinely tune into your content, well, then you have to use that for good. Yeah, you definitely have a responsibility there, and you should just be, just doing good with what you got. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I try to do all the time. Like, I had a little a moment, just to give an example. I had a moment where, just me being funny, having humor. I made a joke, and I called Bouillon emo soca, right? It was just a joke, right? A lot of people found it funny. It went viral, but there was a lot of Dominicans that didn't find it funny. Well, as much as it was a joke, and as much as, all of that, I still went and issued an apology. You know what I mean? I still told them, like, yeah, like, this was just humor. You know what I mean? It was just me kind of spinning off a joke off of a few songs that I heard. And I definitely issued an apology, corrected myself. And then, with that, there were some people that made remixes of Bouillon songs that was actually like emo, kind of making a joke out of it as well, because they seen I didn't mean anything by it, and I used, I was responsible with my platform. And then I actually, made some content with a big Bouillon artist, Trilogy, and had them, like, still comedy, still a skit. They checked me and corrected me on me calling emo soca, or call it Bouillon emo soca. And in that moment, people could see, like, I had no negative intentions with my platform. And that's just how you got to do it, man. Like, just be responsible, spread love, spread positivity. If you're not on that, then you don't deserve to have a platform with people tuning into you and people, like, following what you're doing, because you're using it for wrong. So yeah.
Retweet, okay? Loud and louder for the people in the back too, just in case anybody didn't hear it. I have another question. This is kind of like my nosy behind the scenes. As an influencer, I want to just get a little bit of a take of your experience, because this summer I went to Antigua and I had a blast. Okay, let me tell you. If Antigua is not on your list yet, make sure you add that onto your list. But I had a great time. But I was on a boat. It's like a boat fet with a couple of three kind of big-ish influencers. I don't know. Anyways, I don't know anything about influencing, but people I know personally, but also, like, since I've known them, their platforms have grown and so on. And I watched them at this party creating content, and I was tired watching them, and I wasn't even doing anything because it's like it's their job, right? I understand it's their job, and so they come to these parties. They're having a good time, but they're also working and setting up cameras and like running around, making sure they get the shots. And I was like, "Are you even having fun? Like, are you still enjoying this, or is it just a job?" And I don't know if you have that experience yet, but I have questions about it. And I have you here, so I'm going to ask you. Like, is there a time where it just becomes a job and you're just doing things for the content, or are you still, are people still enjoying the carnival experience? And I guess for you, you're fairly new to this, so maybe you're still in the enjoy every minute to the fullest.
So for me, like, and over the last, I want to say, over the last like year and a half, I would say, I've been at a lot of these like festivals and like these carnivals. I've been on a run, but I have yet to get to that point, and I think it's because of the style of content that I do. I just do it in a way where it's just IRL, like it's in real time type of content. Like I'm not setting up anything. I'm not like in the fet or on the road thinking of, oh yeah, this is gonna be perfect for this. So like that's just not my style. My style is in real time content. Like I have my phone in my hand. I probably was gonna have my phone in my hand regardless, because I like to catch memories. But I'm not setting up anything. I'm not pre-planning anything. I'll catch a moment and then I'll have an idea of how afterwards, after I leave, after I'm in my bed and I'm kicking it, I'm like, whoo, man, I had mad fun. I'll come up with an idea of how it's going to resonate with the people, you know what I mean? And a creative way to kind of twist it or kind of make humor out of it. But I just don't, like, I'm not going to these fets with like, oh yeah, I have to get this many videos and I have an idea to do this and let's dance to this song, and then like that's just not my style. I can't do that. And my style has resonated well so far, so I'm not gonna pivot. But I think it also allows me to enjoy the moment and just capture whatever moments, because I was gonna capture it anyway. I was gonna record this part anyway, and I have like friends with me that'll record me while I'm doing something, or while I'm dancing to something, and then I'll just take that video and post it or something like that, because it's some humor in whatever I was doing. It's just all real time stuff, all like real, genuine experiences that I'm having, and I'm just showing it through my eyes. But like because of my style, it hasn't led me to get to fatigue yet. So thank God for that, because I don't want to get tired of this.
Think about influencers that get paid to participate in a particular carnival or event. Do you think that they are authentically presenting the product, or are they more, commercials or infomercials more so?
So I definitely understand like the, because we're in a day and age where like influencing is also like it's a market now too. So if you were able to generate a following, then you have some type of value to the carnival, the mass man, and stuff like that. So I'm not against like getting paid for that at all. But what I will say is, if you're doing it just for money, that's one thing. I don't agree with that. That's firstly. Secondly, if you're going to curate like a almost like a bias perspective of whatever it is, because you're getting paid, like I don't subscribe to that either. Like, you know what I mean? For me, I don't care when it comes to culture. Like, the amount of money isn't gonna make me say like, oh yeah, like this is the best this is the best that. Nah, you know what I'm saying? If anything, you could say, hey, I'm gonna be here, come party with me, you know what I mean? But or if it's like these for like a mass band or like for a carnival, but like there's been some incidents that have come out where people have gotten paid to go somewhere or paid to be somewhere, and then they're saying that they or they're saying that they loved it, and then somebody else caught them somewhere else saying that they hated it. You know what I'm saying? Like just kind of just being like not authentic about maybe how they was marketing it and then how they genuinely felt and stuff like that. So for me, I just feel like keep it real, keep it authentic. Don't let the money be skewing how you're presenting it to people. And then just don't be like money hungry about this. Like, this is people's culture, you know what I mean? So don't be out here just like, oh, it's just a money grab to you, because that's like, you're being a vulture. You might not be might not be being a culture vulture because you're still Caribbean or what have you, but you are being a vulture. You're just trying to come get money off of a culture that you probably don't even care about. You probably didn't even want to go. You don't enjoy the music. You don't enjoy the food. Like, you know what I mean? You just went because it was a money grab. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it.
And I think that if you go someplace and you didn't like the food, or there were elements that you didn't like, I think that it's fair for you to say that. You know what I mean? I also think that it's important for you to acknowledge that you were brought out by a specific group of people, and by whatever contractual obligation you have, like, to be transparent in your presentation of what it is, right? Like I said, I've been covering Carnival for the last decade, maybe a little more. I started in 2011, right? But I think that's a little more than a decade. But anyway, in any event, when we started, we were never influencers. Like, I've always been a production company. I've always created documentaries and docuseries. So I had a clear understanding of what it was that I wanted to do. However, in order to effectively convey the message and share the history and do all of these things, you have to experience things, right? So, of course, when we're recording, you're going to catch me dancing at the party and doing all these things. And because we are a production company, we have the leeway to say, hey, these were the good points, these were the bad points, and you're not confined to this obligatory narrative that if you were getting paid for it. However, if you are an influencer and you're getting paid, and this goes back to integrity, right? This goes back to the content producer's integrity. I think that you have to be 100% transparent on your experience, because people trust you more than the client. People, your audience, the reason that you are valuable to the client is that your audience trusts you, and you don't want to put your audience in the hands of people that are not going to live up to your recommendation. That's the biggest fear of having to, employ a influencer, because I don't know if they are genuinely enthused about the product or they're driven by the money. And I feel that the best review of a product, whether it's an event, a festival, or a carnival, is a person that is not getting paid a salary to be there, that are not getting the perks of a free costume, unlimited liquor, all of the Fed tickets. Like, I don't think people respect things that they don't pay for. That's just my opinion.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, I mean, I do feel like influencers overall, like, you want to keep it authentic because people trust you. Like you said, like, people trusting you. People are about to spend thousands of dollars based off of what you said, basically. You know what I'm saying? How you presented it. So, once again, be responsible with your platform. Now, I do understand, like, people thinking, or like, maybe some of these entities, like, okay, having this influencer here, maybe flying them out or what have you, it at least puts us, maybe the mass band, maybe even the island itself, like, it puts us in front of a big market, because this person has a following that is watching their every move when it comes to these carnivals and these festivals and stuff like that. But it shouldn't be in a contract for them to have to, like, it should be that they're being authentic in their perspective, their reviews, how they feel, and everything. It shouldn't be, oh, because I'm getting paid now I have to say this, I have to say that, because once again, this is culture. Like, And there's people who are trusting you. There's people that's ready to shell out thousands of dollars next year based on what you say for this year. So if you love it, say you love it. You know what I mean? If you enjoyed if you enjoy the music and all that stuff, say your experience. But keep it authentic, keep it real, because once again, people are trusting you.
I appreciate, as somebody who consumes Carnival content on TikTok and Instagram, on whatever social media platforms, I appreciate an honest review. If you had a great time, tell me, but then, let me know what I need to know for when I attend. If you wish that this would have happened, then I can better prepare myself. And somebody who always takes everybody's, especially influencers, like their opinions with a grain of salt. Like, I'm going to make my own choices ultimately, but I do appreciate the real reviews. Like yes, yeah, I had a great time. Yes, they gave me a ticket to attend. Here's the things that I would love to see. And also on the promoter side, because in the Bahamas place, I mean, you don't know this about me, but we put on events, right? I'm part of a promoter group that puts on the Carnival events, and we need the feedback from our patrons, right? We need the feedback in order to improve. And if there's something that I can do better for next year, how will I know to fix it if somebody doesn't tell me, right? I mean, obviously there's things that we see that don't go the way we plan, but in order to give everybody the best experience, I need to know how I can improve. And so I always appreciate an honest and genuine take, reactions. And like you said, if your content is kind of in real life, like happening as, you're showcasing as it's happening to you or that you're experiencing it, I think I love those reactions and the genuine interactions with people. And that's maybe my favorite type of content to consume. But I do have questions about the influencer life, though. Because again, from an outsider perspective, I watched these girls like run around this boat, setting up cameras, and it was really windy that day, so the tripod kept falling over. And all I could do was laugh. But I hope they have fun. I hope that in the midst of this like really seemingly fun job that they have, I hope they are still enjoying the Carnival experience and enjoying what they do, because the work that they're doing, I think, is important.
Right.
I was most miserable in 2025 for Bahamas Carnival, because even though I had the time of my life on the road, I didn't have my camera and I felt naked. I felt naked because I was like, it was like so many things happened, and especially when the Junkanoo happened, I was so upset. Like I went looking for my camera person, and it got to the point where they weren't in reach. So I still ended up having to take out my phone and record it just so I could capture it. And I was like, see, this is why I need to have my camera on me at all times. But I'm also trying to walk away from being behind the camera and having that lens that divides me and the crowd, right? Because I want to be embedded into it. But when I'm embedded into it, I'm like, oh my God, this would be great content. So I'm always thinking production mode. How do you balance enjoying the experience and making sure that you capture? Because I'm assuming that, like, some of your content is intentional.
Yeah, so when I do my when I do my videos post event, or like, I'm sitting there talking about, because I've done that. I'll sit there and talk about my experiences and stuff, and I'll throw my little punchlines in there, but I'm just giving a authentic review of what's going on day to day, like I do it day to day. But when it comes to like in the moment, I just catch what I could catch. If I didn't catch it, I didn't catch it. Yeah, that's just how I roll. Like, I try to make sure, like, if it comes to mind, like, oh yeah, this is a perfect moment I should catch. If I'm too, engulfed in the moment, like, I just enjoy the moment. And then, I have like a friend or two with me that'll also have it in their minds, like, they know what I do now, so they'll think if I'm, if something's going on or I'm doing something, or what I'm saying, I'm having like a good conversation, they'll be like, yo, mic up real quick, and then I'll put on my mic, or I have a conversation about, it'll be about culture, it'll be about history, but I just don't make it like I try to just keep it as authentic as possible. Like, I just don't try to make it a thing where it's like I have to catch every moment. If I do, and it comes to me like, yo, pull your phone out or pull your DJI out, then so be it. But if I was in the moment and I'm jumping up and I'm running with something in my hand, I ain't about to record this. Hopefully somebody get it. If they don't get it, they don't get it. Like, that's just kind of how I operate with it.
I think too, if I can watch everything from my screen, like why would I even ever want to go? So I think leaving people hanging a little bit is a good strategy too. Like, here's what I experienced. You should come next year with me so you can also experience it. But I'm not going to show you everything because what's the incentive then to come? I don't know. I've learned a lot from Africa in this past year, Blaze. Listen, if you had asked me a year ago, Dahlia, would you be recording our podcast and being in front of a camera with a mic? I would tell you absolutely not. And then Africa came into my life and she doesn't give me a choice. So here I am.
Well, I don't plan on giving Blaze a choice either. So, Bahamas Carnival 2026, we are going to see you on the road from June 3rd to 7th, and we'll figure that out. In the meantime, in between time, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. This has been Inside the Festival Talk right here on Carnival Radio, brought to you by Bahamas Carnival Fest Weekend. Like I said, June 3rd through 7th, 2026. Blaze, we're about to be out of here, but let everybody know how they can follow up and find you.
I'm Dope Like Blaze on everything, TikTok, Instagram. Just follow me, keep up with the Carnival Bootcamp Tour. I appreciate all the support that I've been getting, and we're gonna keep it going. And thank y'all so much for having me.
Dahlia?
Yeah, BahamasCarnivalGuide.com for all the info, insights, and anything you need to know for Bahamas Carnival 2026.